right, we are pleased to be joined now by Connor Miller of the Humboldt Broncos. Connor, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. How's it going?
Oh, thank you very much. It's going good. Got a big weekend ahead of us, so fired up to get after it after a
Yeah,
couple
no,
losses here. We're
no
all
doubt about it.
all
You
ready to
guys
go.
are a busy stretch of hockey these last 2 weeks for the Humboldt Broncos. Before we get into talking about this weekend and some other great stuff involving your career and your family, I just want to ask you about this season so far for yourself and the Humboldt Broncos, sitting in fourth place in the SJHL standings. For you personally and as a team, what do you make of your season so far?
I think as a team, we're doing very well. We started off very strong, really strong actually, and I think we just sort of tapered off a bit. But then Christmas break rolled around and everyone got rested up. We got our Connor Tui back now, so that's going to help us out a lot here. All our guys are healthy, and we're going to get after it here again.
Yeah, no,
And myself, I think just it wasn't hasn't been the best this year so far, but just stick with the program and things will turn around at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, for yourself, joining the Humboldt Broncos, your first full season with the Broncos, of course, you played with the team in a few games last year, but you also got into some playoff games last year with the Humboldt Broncos. How valuable do you think those playoff games and getting into the lineup at such a young age was for you when it comes to your development and preparing yourself for this season?
Yeah, I think getting into those playoff games last year were huge, especially up in the Whitney Farm in Flin Flon. That really showed you what hockey was like, and just to get up to speed and feel comfortable with all the hitting and yeah, it was. I think it was good to be. It was a good way to be ready to come into this season, especially come out of AAA.
For sure. I have to ask, like I mentioned, you got into a few games last year, but your first full season now with the Humboldt Broncos. I just want to ask, how valuable and how important has Scott Barney been as your head coach and to help you when it comes to your development, as a hockey player and as a person this year with the Humboldt Broncos?
Yeah, Barnes has always been there for us. Everyone on the team as well, but especially for me, he's always there supporting me, even when not having the best game or it's just not a good day. He's always there. He's always talking to you and making you feel like you're a big part of the team, in which everyone is a big part of the team. It just he's always there to help you out.
For sure. You're committed to Augustana, which is phenomenal. And I just want to ask you about, the process of committing to, an NCAA Division One school, how that process was for you personally, and at the end of the day, why Augustana was right for you.
Um, it was a pretty funny story actually. We're at practice one morning in Moose Jaw, and why is he our head coach? He's like, there's a guy in the stands here today, so let's have a good practice and whatever. So after practice, getting undressed, and he's like, Mills, you could come talk to this guy. I'm like, sure, not knowing who he was, and he is the assistant coach from down in Augustana, and he's offering me like full ride out of practice. I was so confused. I had I had no contact with NCAA teams or anything before that. So I was trying to go to the Western League and things just weren't panning out. So I was in a time there where it was like, oh well, we'll just see where it goes. Whatever happens next year happens next year. And I sat on it, and next day Garrett calls me, the head coach, and he's all fired up and offers me and sat on it for 2 more weeks after that, and I'm like, "Okay, you know what? Once in a lifetime opportunity. Nothing from Vancouver in the Western League. Let's go for it. You can't turn that down."
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, we've seen a few players from the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League go to Augustana. So it's a very exciting time. And it's going to be exciting for you when you get the opportunity to go down to Augustana. But another thing we want to talk to you about, Connor, obviously, just on Monday, we announced the SJHL and Cantera Seeds, a new partnership, the Golden Sheaf Program, and it kind of highlights all the Saskatchewan-born players in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Obviously, you are one of them. And we also want to highlight players in the SJHL with agriculture backgrounds. And I understand your family has a big agriculture background with farms. Just tell us a little bit, I guess, about your ag background with yourself and your family.
Yeah, so ever since I was a little boy, I love the farm. It's almost as much as hockey, and that's what I'm gonna do when I'm done. But growing up, it was just the freedom to do whatever I wanted. helping dad and grandpa and hired guys on the farm in the field, doing things and going off when I'm not supposed to. But I think that just that just showed me that they trust me, and it's in my blood. It's what I was made to do. And yeah,
For sure. How big of a farm does your family have?
roughly 10,000 acres. We used to have some cattle, but in 2013 we got rid of the cattle and just went strictly grain.
Okay, for sure. That was going to be my next question. Is that strictly now what your family does for crops and everything on the farm?
Yeah, it's just mostly grains. We highlight in wheat and canola and sometimes the odd barley and oat crops.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I have to ask, because I have family has farms as well and a farming background, and obviously, being a farmer and working on a farm is extremely hard work. I mean, for yourself, you touched on it. Growing up, helping your dad, helping your grandpa on the farm. What was that like? Doing all that type of hard work at such a young age.
I think it was just a good way to get into real life and knowing how hard you have to work to get somewhere. And especially at a young age, my grandpa dropped out of school in grade 9 to work on the farm with his dad, which would be my great grandpa. And without their hard work, we wouldn't have what we have today. So just trying to pay it forward and pass it on to my kids or however far we go here.
No doubt about it. That's awesome. I have to ask too, because like we mentioned, farming is such hard work. Doesn't matter what type of farming you're doing, no matter what, farming is very hard work. How do you think, working on a farm at such a young age helped you not just only on the farm with you growing as an adult, but whether that be in the classroom or even on the ice as a hockey player?
Yeah, I think it helped out knowing that it's not just a 8 to 5 job or whatever. It takes extra time to actually figure stuff out, be successful, and you really gotta be dedicated to it. Even when it comes to school, it's not just your 5 classes a day. It's you go home, you study, you do your homework, and same at the farm. Most days it's 8 to 5, but in the busy season, you could be going 16, 18 hours a day just to get the crop off and get the crop in the ground and look after the crop.
For sure, and that's great to hear that. Obviously, you're finding success on the ice, but it's great to hear that yourself and your family are having obviously have had such a great agricultural background here in Saskatchewan. I'm gonna wrap up this interview with a couple more hockey questions for you. Obviously, you have a big weekend ahead for the Humboldt Broncos. Before we talk about that, though, I want to look a little bit further ahead. This next week, SJHL MJHL showcase. You'll be representing the SJHL. How excited are you for that event?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. Go back to Winnipeg for the first time in 5 years to play hockey and just show what we can do as the SJ and myself and prove that we are the league.
What does it mean for you to be able to represent the Humboldt Broncos and the SJHL at that event?
It means a lot. I grew up watching the SJ when I played in Melville and stuff like that and seeing the Humboldt Broncos, and it means a lot to support what this team's gone through, and just to be a part of it is such a meaningful thing. And the SJ people other people tend to say, "Oh, it's just the SJ. It don't matter." But it's coming around. This
Hmm.
league is going to be something special, and it's already becoming that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's growing just like all the crops at your family farm as well. Final question. Obviously, big weekend for the Humboldt Broncos. Thursday tonight in Weyburn, Friday, Saturday in Estevan. Obviously, you guys are coming off a couple of losses to the Balfords North Stars. But what do you expect from this 3 game and 3 night road trip? And what do you guys have to do to be successful this weekend?
I expect a lot from our team here. We had a good week of practice, hard, high intensity, made each other better, and we want to bounce back after last weekend, especially. And I think we're going to do that here. We're going to try to do our best to get 6 points out of this weekend. And we just got to move our feet, work as a team, and talk out there, and stick up for one another. And yeah, I think that'll lead to success.
For sure. Well, Connor, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We really appreciate it. You're a great example for young hockey players in Saskatchewan when it comes to obviously, being a Saskatchewan born and raised player. playing in the SJHL and also coming from an agriculture and a farm background. We really appreciate your time, and best of luck this weekend for the Humboldt Broncos and your 3-game and 3-night road trip. And best of luck the rest of the way this season.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it.